Thank you to EA for sponsoring this video. Hello there everybody, it is me XFreezerBunny and welcome to Copperdale. This is the new world that came with The Sims 4 High School Years expansion pack, and today I'm very excited to bring you a very special look into how I built the Copperdale library. So this is one of 2 official lots I built for the pack. This is going to be officially included when the pack releases on the 28th, but I have early access so I'm able to post this earlier for you guys. I will also be posting the other lot I built, which is a family home, tomorrow. So I will be doing these back to back. Really excited to see what you guys think. But today we're building the library. Actually, before we start, I just want to let you guys know that we are working with an earlier build of the pack here. So if you see some things change, please keep that in mind. Also, certain items still were being added to the pack. So you'll see some placeholders in the catalog. Ignore that. Those will be replaced with actual items eventually. Also, you will see these builds change over time. We did work really closely with EA, with the Sim Gurus, to make sure that our builds were properly optimized for gameplay. So you will see these builds change as the video progresses, and that's just part of the process. You know, we had to make sure that the builds are in their best possible state for gameplay and for performance when we put them out for release. So I'm really excited for you guys to get your hands on it. I only send my Sims to the library whenever I need them to use the computer for their job. So yeah, this is a great place to socialize as well. There's a lot of space for you to meet new Sims, and if you are a new kid in town, I think this is a great place to meet some new friends as well, especially if you're a bookworm. Anyway, I am showing you guys the whole process of me building the library, including some things that have been changed. And it's mostly for like design purposes. I didn't feel like that rounded balcony thing in the middle of the main entrance really made sense, so I will remove that because I feel like it made the whole entrance area a little bit too busy. Also, this is my attempt at building a little clock tower feature because I feel like that would be a nice feature to have for this library, considering it's in such a central location of the world. But I don't know, there's something about the shape of it that just didn't quite work for me. So I just ended up doing a skylight, which actually turned out looking way nicer. Plus, it brings in some light onto the inside as well, which makes the library incredibly bright. So that's really nice. And the Sim Gurus really liked the skylight as well. And speaking of what the Sim Gurus liked, they absolutely loved the back of this build. This back part got so many compliments, and I'm really happy. I did get inspired by mainly classical architecture. I drew upon my experience in classical architecture because I did take that up in college. So I went for more of a neoclassical / Georgian inspired look for this build. And I'm really happy with the end result. We're not quite done yet with that back part because I will add a pediment onto that area as well. And actually, this build also has some Art Deco details as well, because we did have quite a bit of new Art Deco build and buy stuff. And I use primarily those Art Deco railings that came with the pack. Those look really good, and they worked really well for the aesthetic that I had in mind for this build as well. So yes, for the interior, I kept it pretty traditional. Lots of warm colors and lots of whites, mostly neutral colors, except for a little kids area later where we are gonna see some color, but it's mostly like warm tones, really traditional vibes. And there goes that pediment out back. Also, I discovered this wall item that worked really well in tandem with these arched windows and those new windows that came with the pack. They'll make them look so good. So I'm really happy that I discovered that. And for the landscaping, I just kept it to a minimum because there really wasn't a lot of space to work with. So I just kept it pretty simple and straightforward. Okay, so one of the perks being able to work on the pack during the early stages was the fact that we were able to give the gurus, the devs, some feedback. And one of the feedback that I was more than happy to give was the fact that I felt like this lot needed to have a pathway that led to it, because the library technically is a pretty public space, right? So it doesn't make sense for it not to have a pathway, especially because it's so publicly accessible. So yes, I can officially say that I have changed Copperdale, and I'm really happy that they were open to our feedback as well. We were also able to give them feedback on the households, which is pretty exciting, and I'm going to be talking more about that as we get into that in my build for tomorrow. Back to the interior, I did initially use that little trick I do. It's kind of like a little signature on the channel, using those floor tiles from base game to create this new pattern, but I will change that because this pack actually came with a new floor tile, so I will be using those. I did want to make sure that I used as many items from the pack as I can, so I did decide eventually to use those floor tiles. Unfortunately, those still weren't in the game when I was doing this, so I had to use another tile for that. Anyway, the downstairs has a reading area on one side and a little reception area on the other side, and in the middle there's a little bulletin board, and the gurus also really liked that detail as well. For the second floor, there's a beautiful staircase. I'd like to call it a grand staircase with a beautiful painting. And there's also an opening that opens up to the third floor skylight, and it is really beautiful. It lets a lot of light into all the way down to the ground floor, and I'm really happy that I was able to incorporate that detail. I know for a fact that EA will probably change some things based on what I've heard from other game changers who have had this experience before. They only changed like minor things, but I hope they wouldn't take away the skylight because that's like one of my favorite features. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I don't mind if they move maybe like a clutter item here or there, but I really hope we get to keep those skylights and also those columns in the middle as well, because I really wanted to add more classical detail onto the interior as well, so I hope those stay. Here I'm putting in the all-important desks, which will have computers in them, and this is the only reason why I visit libraries in the first place in the game. It's just to use the computer to make sure that my sim find a job, and oftentimes whenever you have a sim start off their career, they will have to use a computer for like research. So that's the only time I send my sims to libraries for gameplay wise. I also did this little kids area over here, which the sim gurus enjoyed as well. I've gotten quite a lot of good feedback on this area, and I'm really happy with it. We will make some slight changes to this area. They wanted me to close this off because it was a little bit open, and it was also next to the stairs, so not the safest area for kids, so I will close that off later on. Actually, the layout did change a little bit because EA did have some routing issues while they were testing the slot, so nothing too crazy, but there were some minor changes. And at this point, it was getting quite late into the project. We were a couple of months in when these floors were finally available for me to use, so I'm replacing the original floors with these ones that came with the pack, and they look really good. They really complemented the subtle art deco details in the stair railing and in the balustrades, so I'm really happy about that. And yeah, these are the minor changes that I did towards the end of the project. You'll see me close off that area to make sure that the little kitties are safe whenever they're hanging out in that area of the library. Overall, I had such an amazing time working with EA. It was my first time working in such an open environment because where I'm from, we have a very hierarchical, like, professional environment. So yeah, being able to be open and straightforward with them was such a new experience for me, and it was such a pleasure being able to meet with some gurus as well as being able to work with some really talented game changers as well. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. This is a short and sweet introduction to Copperdale, and I hope you look forward to my next video on my other build as well. So with that said, I just want to thank you all so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.